Hi everybody, it's Dr. Sam Robbins, and today I'm going to talk about light therapy and Prozac and depression and so forth. Basically, in detail, how depression is actually increasing like multiple for everyone, basically, young and older people, especially younger people, even for men, but even more so for women, about how light therapy can be as better or as equally as good as Prozac or other SSRI inhibitors, the antidepressant drugs. And my personal interaction with depression, with suicide and light therapy, and finally, suggestions and action plans for you. So whether you are depressed or you're feeling sad, or maybe you're feeling alone or unhappy or whatever it is. Sometimes we have these highs and lows in life, and sometimes, unfortunately, those lows drag out a lot longer than we want due to whatever reason, internal or external. Either way, I want you to know that you're not alone. And as the saying goes, this too shall pass. So hopefully today will be a little bit help for you. So let's get started. First of all, as I said earlier, that depression is on the rise. The CDC states that about 10% of adults over the age of 18 experience at least one major depressive episode a year. Major meaning that it's really bad and lasts for a while now, which is more than double just a decade ago. Additionally, highest prevalence in depression is between the ages of 18 to 25, which is about 20% of the depression. And this is, again, more than doubled in the past decade. And finally, adolescents between the ages of 12 to 17 are even higher, with almost 25% people. And that's female adolescents being at the highest at 32%. So this is really bad, and obviously, it's affecting everyone, and a lot of it has to do with multiple reasons. And what's worse is that we've also had the highest suicide rates ever in history, which has increased by over 41% in the past decade. Sadly, males are almost 4 times likely to actually commit the suicide or go finalize it. Again, this is especially with males. And I can actually sadly attest to this. I've had basically 4 men in my life who have committed suicide. One of them, I was the last person he spoke to. I said, hey man, I'll be over there and help you. And then, he didn't get back to me a few days later. And it was right, by the way, it was a day before Christmas, right? And I said, hey man, I'm over. He didn't seem that bad. And then he didn't get back to me for a few days. And I found out he committed suicide literally the next day. He talked to me and his mom, the last 2 people he talked to. And the most recent one was just about a year ago. Someone I've known my entire life. Won't get all the details. Basically, needless to say, I basically lost my brother to suicide. And he was on lots of different medications, 2 different antidepressants. He was also on uppers. By the way, this was all managed under his psychiatrist. That means a medical doctor who can prescribe drugs. And I will wholeheartedly put most of the blame on the doctor. Because I had told her, hey, listen, at one point, this isn't good. He's had issues, apparently things and he kept a lot of things private those last few years from me. And when I found out his first attempt, I told her, and she's like, no, don't worry. I know him. I've been doing this for 25 years. We're just going to increase the medicine. And then I find out he's taking more. He was also taking uppers like Adderall in the morning. And I'm like, dude, this is like multiple chemical interactions. And, he trusted this person. And I'm only sharing this with you because maybe it happens to you or someone and, they're prescribing these SSRIs, such as Prozac or similar drugs, to over 35% of the population. And by the way, once you get on, you can't get off. That's the crazy part. And not only are they prescribing these drugs just for, depressant, but it's like anytime you have anxiety, they give you these drugs. You have OCD, they give you these drugs. And many studies have actually shown that compared to the placebo, it didn't work any better. Placebo meaning like a sugar pill. And the studies, have again shown that there's a huge increase in the incidence of suicide for people who do take these antidepressant, quote unquote, drugs, which is now, sadly, it's actually stated on the inside of the drug insert. So it's like they know people are taking these drugs. Now, and by the way, I'm not going to say that some people need it. Of course, I remember the first time someone took Prozac, he was my closest friend in high school. This is like 30 years ago when the drug first came out. And I remember he was having suicidal thoughts. He didn't do anything. And then he got on the drug. And it was super new. And I'm like, hey, Darius, how do you feel? And he says, I feel pretty good, man. I said, do you think about killing yourself and all that? And he's like, no, I don't. I said, what about life? Are you happier? He says, no, I'm just blah all the time. And he's like, if someone said, hey, here's $1 million, I wouldn't get really excited. I'd be like, cool, whatever. And I said, well, and truth is, at that point, at least he didn't, it prevented him from wanting to commit suicide. But again, those drugs are not designed to be on all the time. And by the way, back then, when it was new, unlike now where they just give it to everyone like Tic Tacs, he got off a few months later. And I said, how do you feel? He's like, yeah, they just titrated me off. I feel good, man. I'm glad I was on it during that time. He got a little therapy, this and that. He had a really bad breakup and things were fine. He didn't need to be on it. But nowadays they just give it and they prescribe it and they make you stay on it because again, getting off, it's, big pharma, doctors, it's like everyone unfortunately is in cahoots with each other. Anyhow, my whole point with all this is think twice about taking these medicines. If you're on it, again, think twice. There's natural solutions. And again, today's topic is light therapy. And I'll tell you about exactly what I've done with it. So let me first tell you about a study, light therapy, that again worked even better than the drug Prozac, which is called fluoxetine. In one 8-week randomized double-blind placebo, full spectrum light, which was compared to the Prozac, of the patients receiving the light therapy, 43.8% went into remission compared to only 19.4% of the patients who were taking fluoxetine alone. Basically, almost 45% with light, only 20% with the Prozac. Now, another study, it showed that there wasn't much of a significant difference between light versus the Prozac. However, light treatment showed earlier response, onset, and lower rate of adverse events, meaning that light therapy basically worked faster. And at the end, it was just as effective without the negatives. And there's a lot of negatives of these drugs. For guys especially, they have libido problems, they can't perform. It just, again, that's a whole other topic that I've done. Now, lots of studies about light therapy. Another study showed that 20 milligrams of Prozac versus light therapy, which was at 3,000 lux, and I'll tell you more about the lux and everything in a minute, for 2 hours a day, for just, 3,000 lux, 2 hours a day versus a 20 milligrams Prozac. The results showed the remission rate in the bright light group tended to be superior. Basically, bright light at 50%, fluoxetine at 25%, all right? Additionally, it said light treatment in the morning produced a significantly faster onset of improvement. So what's the bottom line? Is that basically light treatment therapy works or could work just as well, or maybe even better, especially without any side effects, as antidepressant drugs, such as in these studies, the fluoxetine, Prozac. There's lots of studies about light therapy. And again, it can work faster without the negative side effects. And there's, no addictive issues, unlike the SSRIs, these type of drugs. So what do I do about therapy? I've never really been depressed, but there are definitely times of being lonely, and I'll tell you about this stuff in a second. When I first got on the internet, it was the mid-90s. I remember after a couple years, like 97, 98, I was feeling kind of blah. And this is before Google was on Yahoo. And I went and did some research, and it said how depression is on the rise, and loneliness is getting really out of control. And this and that was I swear to you, like almost 30 years ago. So guess how much worse it is now. I understand we're connecting with people on the internet with all that, so forth, but there's, we need human interactions. We need to get out more. What's caused all these issues is also we're just indoors all the time, engulfed in this fake world. Now, some of you have heard about Dr. Andrew Huberman talking about going outside first thing in the morning and getting sunlight. You can take a short clip about this.
Try and get outside, ideally within the first 5 minutes of waking, or maybe it's 15 minutes, but certainly within the first hour after waking. I want to share with you 3 critical things about this tool of morning sunlight viewing. First of all, this is not some woo biology thing. This is grounded in the core of our physiology. There are literally hundreds, if not thousands, of quality peer-reviewed papers showing that light viewing early in the day is the most powerful stimulus for wakefulness throughout the day, and it has a powerful positive impact on your ability to.
Now, in this short clip, Andrew's talking about how improving your energy levels in the morning by allowing you to sleep better at night, and which is definitely true. But now you can utilize light treatment for improving your mood. Here's what I do. I literally, I get up in the morning, I have my water and so forth, with a little bit of salt, lemon juice, all this stuff. I take some of my morning supplements and so forth. I'll double check my emails, make sure nothing's broke. And then I go out for a 15, 20, or sometimes 30-minute walk, whatever time you have. Of course, I've been doing this for years, just because I knew it woke me up. And I knew immediately, like when I didn't feel like doing anything, going outside just for some reason improved my mood. Now I got a puppy, so I take her for a walk. So now I have to do it. And in some ways, she's really saved my life that way. So I do that. I go out for 10, 15, 20-minute walk, and sometimes 30 minutes. Now, luckily, where I live, there's typically sunlight and year-round. But if you're not there, what you can do is basically use light, which is what today's topic is. For example, you can use something like a Lux light, which is like what I do. So I'm going to turn this on right now. You can see this is really bright, and you can adjust it to different levels, right? So you have on, off, higher, lower, this and that. And I use one that's got a much higher Lux reading, up to 10,000. Now, in that one study, it showed it at 3,000 a day. So this one that I have, and I'll give you the link to the Amazon one, not making any money or any affiliation or anything like that. But basically, it's the one that I thought wasn't that expensive. You can use it at different levels. It's got like 1,000, 3,000, 5,000, and 10,000 lux. I just put it at my desk on the right side in the morning. I leave it there for a few hours because basically you don't want, that bright of a lux light later in the evening, which you want to get ready for sleep. Now, what is lux? Lux is basically, it sees how bright light is. So, lux measures the brightness of light. For example, direct sunlight, if you go outside, I'm saying look at it, but sunlight, that's why people make the best, photography outside. It's between 30,000 lux to 100,000 lux. While my light thing over here, this thing maximum is at 10,000, right? All right. Anyhow, so that one is at 10,000 lux, but the sunlight is 30 to 100,000 lux. Sometimes if it's really cloudy outside, it can be as low as maybe 20,000 or something. But either way, sunlight or light is very important. One thing to know is that when you have the light, it improves dopamine and serotonin and all these other chemical reactions and neurotransmitters. The other thing I said earlier is you don't want like bright light later in the day. You don't want to be looking at your phone or the computer screen or the TV and have all the lights bright at night, because it not only does it decrease the production of potential melatonin at night, which is needed for the morning and for better sleep, and all those amazing things happen when you sleep with your mood. Trust me, don't sleep for a day or two or get poor sleep, and you're not going to be in a happy mood. You're going to be depressed, anxiety, anxious, negative, all these things. Sleep does fix a lot of things, going outside and all that stuff, but you want to lower the light at night because then improve melatonin. And also when you have a lot of light at night, it prevents the production of dopamine and serotonin and all these other awesome chemicals and adrenaline and cortisol in the morning. So again, you have to go with how life is, how God or nature or the universe was designed. Light during the day and darkness at night. All right. So, that's why you should get up early and so forth. Getting up, a lot of times people who have like shift work and their hours are totally off, there's more depression in them and just anxiety and so forth because they're not balanced with light. So light therapy, again, works great. It's natural. There's other natural things. I say get out and do the walking. Other things, you can take herbs that are natural at improving serotonin levels that help relax the body. And, one product that I've been using for 25 years is a ProVanax. And I named it because I was like combining Prozac with Xanax and ProVanax. And I've been using this for 25 years. It really helps improve my mood. And because I used to have a lot of, anxiousness or anxiety because of work and school and everything going on at place. And this helped me without having to take drugs. I take it more at night, or if I'm under different times where I'm under a lot of anxiety or whatever, and I take it all the time for like a week or two, or if I'm just kind of feeling down, it's just to get you over the hump, right? It's not something you want to do all the time, but I do take it almost every night because it helps me relax and get to bed and lowers my anxiety, and I wake up just feeling refreshed without feeling grogginess. And finally, again, if you are feeling down, if you are feeling lonely or depressed, it is a mindset. I'm not like minimizing what you're dealing with. But, try to focus on the solution, not the problem. Focus on what you have, not what you don't have. Have an attitude of gratitude, all these things. Get out, interact, share with people, help others. Don't focus on yourself. Giving to others will improve your mood. Again, it's a chemical thing. Get the light, get the walking, get exercise, eat better, take natural herbs and vitamins that your body will need to help improve the chemicals. Sometimes you're lacking chemicals. That's why those antidepressants do work on some people. It gives them maybe what their body was lacking or optimize the serotonin levels. You can do this naturally with herbs. So again, take ProVanax if you need. I'll put the links below with coupons and all that. And make sure you get the light. I'll put a link to this at Amazon, the one I have, or get something similar. Again, minimum is 3,000 lux. I do this 10,000 because I can, optimize. I'm already paying for it, right? So might as well get as the maximum opportunity as I can. It's only a little bit more than getting something with a lower lux. So I hope this was helpful. Let me know what potential issues you start to have that causes you depression or anxiety or worry about life. Again, I hope this was helpful. If it was, thumbs up, share it with someone, all right? And again, if you're not subscribed, please do so. As always, wishing you a very happy and healthy day. And please focus on your health physically and emotionally.